What's up guys, Nick back here from Sessions Motorsports. Today we wanted to just share with you this awesome brand new aluminum bodied CJ that we just finished up. So why don't we go ahead and get started and we'll go over this thing and get down to the nitty gritty. This is a sweet Jeep. Alright guys, while we're checking out this Jeep, just a couple of quick overviews on this thing. What this is a brand new CJ7. So it has an Aqualoo aluminum body with boat sides and a dovetailed. It's got a complete custom Sessions Motorsports one-off chassis. It also has a brand new GM Performance Parts crate engine, brand new Turbo 400 transmission, brand new transfer case, and obviously it has these awesome axles. So as we're looking at this thing, let's just start right here with this front axle. What this is a Spidertrax axle. It's got Gearworks 10-inch third members with 538 gears and 40 spline Gearworks spool. It has 40 spline 300M Spidertrax axle shafts, and then it also has the big bodied PSC steering cylinder to allow it to turn these big old 43 sticky SX tires on these Raceline beadlocks. So if you look at the front of this thing, it is super tight and narrow. Part of that's because of the steering angle. These shocks are ORI struts with 16 inches of travel, so the way the hood is cut is for visibility on this thing, but it's also to let this articulate and steer its 45 degrees through all of its articulation and not get into anything. The approach angle on this thing is epic. So the tires are way in front of the front end. So when we built this chassis, we brought the front end really up high to get it up and out of the way and give you the best approach angle possible. It has this Smitty built 9.5 winch on it. And then you can see this is an original steel grill that we started with that we completely cut down and built into this shape. So if you kind of look at an original CJ grill, you'll see how much work has been done with this. One thing that's really cool is we needed to come up with a very slim surface mount DOT low and high beam approved headlight. And so the only way we could mount this headlight was with these beautifully one-off machined headlight bezels that hold this headlight where it needs to go. If that's something you guys ever find yourself in need in, get a hold of us and we can whip you up a set of these. The hood on this thing is a stock steel CJ7 hood that we obviously have modified the way we did. We rolled the edges where it was cut. It's reinforced underneath. But why don't we go ahead around the side and we'll just check out the tub in this thing. We'll come back to the motor in just a few minutes. So for tires and wheels on this thing is running 43 SX stickies on a Raceline beadlock. The gentleman we built this for has got an awesome old CJ7 also that's pretty wore out. And he's got a couple sets of these tires and wheels, so you can see the rock rash and the abuse these tires have been through. They were on his other CJ, so they're going back on this as it's heading out on a 3-month wheeling adventure. So go ahead and check out, it's got the ultimate drive snouts from Spidertrax. These are pretty awesome. It's got Spidertrax Pro Series brakes with 4-piston Willwood calipers, but these snouts, they just kind of give you a way to lift these heavy tires and wheels up on a hub versus just lug nuts to get it started and make it a lot easier. So as you come around, you can see not only does this have the ORI struts, they're 16-inch travel like we talked about before, but these ones do have the additional reservoir. Inside here, you can kind of get a peek of this awesome chassis that's laid out this way. So it has a complete custom Sessions Motorsports double triangulated 4-link, both front and rear, with Summit Machine 7075 aluminum links. Let's go ahead and look at the side of this thing, look down. So you can see that it's been boat side, but we actually built the rockers as part of the chassis. So underneath this UHMW right here is a 3/16 steel plate that bolts to the side of the tub to protect this. And then if you look down there, you'll see just how tailor built this chassis is that we do for these CJ7s with the aluminum bodies. So it's got a small subframe built into it to get the link geometry just the way we like it. And this is an AR 400 steel skid plate. And then again, it has the UHMW plastic on the bottom of it, which we think just slides really nice. But the biggest reason I like it is it takes that metal on the rock. When you hit the skid plate on a rock, it takes that impact out of your back, where it's kind of like hitting a block of wood with a hammer versus hitting a metal table with a hammer. This kind of gives it a thud and helps that out. So we really like the UHMW. As you're checking this tub out, this thing will never run doors. It does have a couple of windows that go on it, but it'll never run a top. And so we chose to protect the side of the seat. The gentleman that wanted this wanted a small door bar that was easy to get in and out. But you can see how we Frenched the body right here and sunk this bar down in it, because it kind of gives, this is kind of a vulnerable area in this tub. The cool thing about these tubs is they're 3/16 thick aluminum, so they are way tough compared to an OEM sheet metal tub. So the wheelbase on this thing is 112 inches long, and you can see that it's pretty proportionate for this Jeep body. So it's obviously stretched out in the front, it's stretched in the back, but because it's dovetailed, we don't have to do that classic comp cut that everybody does when they stretch the Jeep. And in my personal opinion, I really like when they have a normal fender that kind of makes it look more like a Jeep. So while we're back here, let's take a look at the back of this thing, and you can kind of see the departure angle of this thing and just how the tires are completely back behind the body. And we protruded the chassis back through the tub a little bit, so this really helps protect it. So inside here, you can kind of look down and just see how clean everything is. Go ahead and check out that cage tie-in on the back. The cage is tied into the chassis in every mounting point, so it's tied in 6 or 8 locations. Let's peek underneath back here. So this also has the same Spidertrax rear axle, 40 spline Gearworks spool, Gearworks third member, the same gear ratio, and 40 spline 300M axle shafts. You can see it's very simple, it's very light. We'll get to the weight of this Jeep in just a minute because that's a really cool thing. Check out this sweet rack we built on the back. So this Jeep is all about function, right? So below this is an 18-gallon fuel tank. It's got a factory GM in-tank fuel pump, so super reliable, super quiet. But this is a cool little storage rack we build for a lot of our projects that just gives you a place to throw anything else you want. If you peek back inside there, you'll actually notice that there's another little rack in between the seats. That is purpose built for a Yeti soft cooler, just to sit right back there and easy access from the driver and passenger compartment. And then of course it has this big power tank in here, so they have onboard air and they can run power tools or whatever they need to do to fill these tires up as quick as possible. For the shocks in the back, it also has 16-inch ORIs with the remote reservoirs. So why don't we go ahead and we will take a look at the interior of this thing. Okay guys, for the interior in this thing, it is pretty Spartan, right? So it has just what it needs with a good amount of detail to make it just clean, simple, super functional, super good visibility, and just a nice place to be. So you can see it's got a perfectly smooth dash. The only thing that's on the dash is the headlight switch and the ignition key. And then we built this pretty cool center console that's built into the cage, and which is basically a chassis in this thing, the way this is built. But it has this pretty sweet, these are speed hut gauges. So it's a GPS speedometer with a built-in tach, and then in here it's got water, trans, oil, and volts set up. So that gas tank that we talked about earlier, on the actual gas cap, it has a fuel gauge on the gas cap, which is a pretty sweet little detail. So you just look at the gas cap and you're ready to rock. So you can see down here it has this Willwood handbrake on it, so this is just for doing digs, right? So it locks up just the rear setup. This also has Hydro Boost brake setup, again with a Willwood master and all the awesome Spidertrax brake goodies below it. So it's got a Hydro Boost brake setup in it. It has a Midnight Metalworks T-case in it, and so this is the twin stick setup for the T-case, and then it has a Winter Sidewinder shifter, which is this bad boy, of course, with a custom aluminum handle. So the paint job on this thing is pretty sweet, and if you take a look at it, it obviously fades from silver to blue to black, and that fade runs through the center console, even on the roof of the Jeep, and it's tied in with the seats. The reason that is the gentleman that owns this has a beautiful 45-foot long diesel pusher coach that is painted very similar to this, and so this obviously gets put behind that coach and gets to travel around and go wheels out west for a good part of the winter. So this is a pretty awesome setup right here for sure. Why don't we go ahead and we'll peek underneath a little bit and give you a little more detail on that belly. Again, it gives you a really good angle of just how smooth and just how protected all of these rigs that we put together are. There's absolutely nothing on the bottom to get hung up on. All of the link mounts are all up high where they need to be. So this, obviously, again, the AR skid plate there, you can kind of see the way we do our subframe and the setup in there. Hopefully you can peek up and see the Midnight Metalworks T-case. So this has 1350 Adams drive shafts on it, front and rear. The front's a 2-piece drive shaft, and that allows us to bring that subframe up and get that skid plate and link geometry just the way we like it. You can see it's got the PRP limit straps. The brake lines on this thing are a Kevlar lined DOT brake line that we use on all the rigs. It has a full ceramic coated exhaust with that Borla muffler at the back right there. It's nice and quiet, but it's got a pretty awesome motor, so it's obviously got a little sound, but it's nice and quiet for a really nice day on the trail. Speaking of the motor, let's go check that thing out. All right guys, so the motor of this thing is pretty awesome. What it is it's a very reliable, perfect horsepower for the dollar, easy to stay cool, lightweight engine package that, you know, it's stone cold reliable. It's a classic small block Chevy, but what it is, a GM Performance Parts ZZ6. So it's 420 horsepower and 420 foot-pounds of torque, which is perfect for a rig like this. We talked earlier about the weight of this thing. This rig weighs 3,800 pounds, ready to rock. So the way it's set up as you see it right now, it's a 3,800 pound Jeep, which is pretty awesome with this combo. So this obviously is a fairly tight engine bay. There's a lot of stuff going on. The motors sit a lot lower than in a factory CJ. And again, the chassis is raised up a lot in the front to give it this approach angle, this low ride height with a decent amount of up travel. So this thing's primarily set up for hardcore crawling. So you can see it's got this custom radiator with a custom shroud assembly we built in it with this complete air duct to get every ounce of air that's coming through that grill. And then it has two 2,000 CFM derail fans on it. So it has a total of 4,000 CFM. This thing runs all day at like 180, 190 degrees. So it's got a PSC full hydraulic steering system on it. And again, it has a complete Hydro Boost brake assembly on it that you can see over there. With a Wilwood master cylinder. This is a steering cooler set up right here on it. One thing that's pretty cool is we had to get a little tricky with the exhaust on this thing. We build a lot of headers for a lot of our rigs, and a lot of times if we can find a header that works, it saves time and we just use that. We had to modify and build these headers as well to get the up travel, to get the ride height, and get the link geometry without compromising around an exhaust. And so the exhaust is pretty cool in this thing. It's simple, but it's got a lot of little details in it. One really cool thing that we did is we built this relief into the factory firewall and sunk the battery back. So this has a Mojave heater that's hidden down between the center console. When you looked at the interior, it's got a little heater in there, and then it also has heated seats. And so it doesn't have the factory big, clumsy heater assembly. So we have all this wasted space back there. And so we were able to build this relief back here to sink this battery in. And it's got this beautiful billet mount on it right here, but it just really cleans up the engine bay and works really well with this. So this has a PowerMaster 150 amp alternator. We like to use the highest amp alternator that we can get within reason on these rigs. There's always obviously something greater, but at the same point, this is a fantastic setup for a small block. This runs a V-belt drive setup on it, and this alternator is great at low RPM on rock crawling. When you got your fans on and all your stuff going, this alternator keeps the job done and works really well. You can also see some of the details of our chassis work right here. So the chassis is all integrated through the body. The body's hard mounted on this, and so it's part of the chassis. It's literally sandwiched between the lower chassis and the roll cage setup, but the roll cage is tied in everywhere on this thing, making for a very rigid, very predictable performing platform that again saves a ton of weight and really lets the driver feel what's going on to make it as much like a buggy as possible, but still having a VIN number, still being a Jeep, still being recognizable in that way. And like you can see, this thing's pretty awesome, you guys. So I hope you like this rig, you guys. We got more rigs coming down the pipe, lots to show you guys. This thing's pretty awesome. So again, hope you guys like it, and thanks for checking it out. Have a good day.